While Georgie and Mandy's first marriage managed to incorporate Georgie's little sister Missy as early as its second episode, this outing did prove that bringing back young Sheldon's heroine brought up some plot problems. Young Sheldon's spin-off Georgie and Mandy's first marriage was left in a tricky position by its two predecessors. Young Sheldon's finale ended with Sheldon's older brother Georgie and his wife, Mandy, happily married. The Big Bang Theory Season 11, Episode 23, The Sibling Realignment, revealed that Georgie was divorced years later. Clearly, something went wrong in between, and Georgie and Mandy's first marriage needed to explain what. The first episode of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage outlined the couple's struggles finding a home of their own, but living with Mandy's parents also wasn't a stress-free alternative. Georgie was thankful for the job that Jim McAllister provided him at his tire store, but he was also frustrated by his critical mother-in-law Audrey. Mandy wanted to return to work to regain her independence, but found herself struggling to find a suitable job in an unaccommodating marketplace. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage Season 1, Episode 2, Some New York Nonsense, built on these plots and brought back a familiar face from young Sheldon. Missy's first Georgie and Mandy's first marriage appearance was frustrating. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage struggled to incorporate Missy. In Some New York Nonsense, Georgie found himself overwhelmed by the stress of handling his young baby, his marriage, his grief over losing his father, life in the McAllister family home, and his job at the tire store. This was further exacerbated when the episode brought back young Sheldon's Missy and proved she was more rebellious than ever before. Missy was suspended for pulling the fire alarm to get out of class, and she swore Georgie to secrecy about the incident, since they both knew how their mother Mary would react. This storyline was an intriguing, but also frustrating, addition. Missy had sufficient screen time to bring up her problems, such as unprocessed grief, school struggles, teenage rebellion, and even missing Sheldon. However, there was little space for her to properly explore them, as Some New York Nonsense mostly focused on the titular issue, namely Georgie's anxiety. Georgie eventually suffered a panic attack thanks to adding his sister's secret to his pile of stresses. But he dismissed the idea of anxiety as mere metropolitan doublespeak. Like Georgie's struggles with Audrey, his anxiety soon became just another issue that the show's main character buried deep down inside, hoping it would disappear. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage separating Missy's appearance from Mary and Mima is correct. Keeping the Cooper family's cameo appearances separate was clever. It was undeniably moving and unexpectedly sad to see Georgie struggle with anxiety, and the scenes where he sought counsel at the grave of George Sr. were among the strongest of the episode. However, it was still unfortunate that, in focusing on how his sister's issues impacted Georgie and Mandy's first marriage struggled to foreground Missy's story. This was never more obvious than when Mandy spoke with Missy on the phone, searching for a missing Georgie and hoping he was visiting his family's home. When Missy said she hadn't seen her brother, Mandy politely asked how she was holding up. Missy's story was secondary to her impact on Georgie's life. Missy began to open up emotionally, only to be shut down when Mandy hurriedly hung up on her because Georgie had returned home. The moment proved just how much Missy's story was secondary to her impact on Georgie's life, and this underlined the value of separating her comeback from the return of Mary and Mima in the pilot episode. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage would definitely feel like a direct continuation of young Sheldon if these characters returned together, and, even with a laugh track added to its setup, the spin-off would seem more like a sequel series without keeping the family separate.